Good morning. All right, Wednesday, day before Thanksgiving. Today we're going out to Fury Motors in South St. Paul. We've got a car that we have to do. It belongs to a customer of mine, a good friend, James. He just got a new Challenger, replaced his old Challenger for a new Challenger. So today we're going to go over there at Fury and do an optic coat and ceramic protect the cars. So just follow along and watch the process. Right now I got to pack all my gear in these boxes, and we'll be heading out shortly. All right, so we're here at Fury Motorsports in South St. Paul. Today, like I said earlier, we're going to be doing Optic Coat Pro Plus on this vehicle here. This belongs to James. James is a prior client and a friend of mine. He had a red Challenger prior. He just traded it in for this one. So the red was decent to correct. Black, as we know, is generally a little bit harder. You're going to see a little bit more imperfections. You know, from the time the car gets to the dealership and when it's in the dealership, you always have people who are going to be touching the car, rubbing on it, whether or not they're trying to. That's going to cause new surface swirls and scratches. So today my job is to get in there with my light. We're going to do a no rinse first, wipe the whole car down. Then I'll clay bar the whole vehicle. From there, I'm going to start doing paint correction until we find that finish that we're really happy with. At that time, and at that time only, am I going to put ceramic coating and encapsulate all that within the Pro Plus. So look at the process. I'll talk through the process, and each step I'll kind of describe what exactly I'm doing, and that way you have a better idea of what it is I'm doing when I do a Pro Plus coating. So the first thing I had to do was wash the car. Now, because it's Minnesota and it's cold outside, I don't necessarily need to use a power washer, which in this case I decided to use ONR. It's a product from Optimum Polymer Technologies. It's a great option to use when the car is just slightly dusty, not real dirty. The product is good because it has lubrication in it that's not going to scratch the surface. So using a nice clean microfiber towel, I can clean the whole vehicle, never take it outside, and get a good clean result before I can start to clay bar. So this is the first step in just making sure the car is clean and free of any dust. What I'm doing now is I'm actually using a clay bar, and I'm going to go over the whole surface of the vehicle. The clay bar, what it's going to do is it's going to grab all the foreign particles that are stuck and embedded into the paint. This is something I want to do before I start doing paint correction, and the reason why that is I don't want to rub more contaminants across the surface once it starts to get a little bit more abrasive using the polishers. So the last thing I want to do is add more cuts into the clear coat. That would defeat the purpose. So I have to go through the entire vehicle and clay bar everything. Periodically, I'll check back, I'll look at the clay itself, and I can tell from that whether or not I'm picking up things. So usually when you go on the lower half of the car, you'll pick up more things, especially on a car that's a little bit more used, who's seen more road time. The next thing I needed to do was to tape off any plastic trims or edges that I did not want to hit once I got to the paint correction part of the job. In this case, I'm taping off the vents. In this case, with this vehicle, the vents are actually functional, so I definitely want to tape those off. I don't want to send any compound residue down in those. After I get done with all this, then I can go and I can do paint correction and not have to worry about hitting all the trims and maybe putting in blemishes that I don't want to have. Now that I've taped off all the edges, I can finally start to do paint correction. The goal with paint correction is I'm actually physically using my buffer and the pads and the combination of products to re-level the clear coat. A lot of times when you see those surface scratches, it's because there are peaks and valleys in your paint. All those things cause the light to reflect in all kinds of different directions. The goal here is if we re-level everything to a plain and smooth surface, you'll be able to see the reflections as they're intended to be. So here we start the paint correction process. Before I actually started doing the whole hood, I had actually done a 50-50 side by side. This allowed me to see what products and pad combination worked the best for this specific paint. All right, so I went through from that driver's side fender all the way up here, and everything looks good. But I did find some, looks like rail dust, maybe when the car got shipped. That's kind of heavier back here on the back end. So I got to actually run back to my shop and get that, go through the paint, try to get all these deposits off, then finish the correction. I still got to go about a third of the way around, and that'll be my first stage. So finally, after a 9-hour process of doing paint correction, I was finally able to get to the part where we put the Opticoat onto the paint. I ran into some small issues while I was doing it. The contaminants that I had found in the back, I realized I needed to clay a little bit further, so I went back with my clay bar and I addressed those issues. I then made sure the entire car was free of contaminants. There was a few spots where I hit it with clay bar again, and then I polished the whole car. So that took a little bit of a time. Took some figuring out, some stepping back and rethinking the process, but we finally got around to it. So now what I'm doing is I'm just applying the Opticoat Pro. It's a single layer coating. I'm gonna let that cure, then I come back with the Opticoat Pro Plus. But we're finally coming to an end of the detail for this vehicle. All right, so it took about 10 hours to get this coating done. I hope you enjoyed watching the process. Hope you learned something in the process. It's not an easy job. It takes a lot of time, a lot of labor time, but you end up with a product like this. So thanks to Fury Motorsports in South St. Paul. Thanks again for letting me work here, giving me the space to do it, allowing me the time and taking the entire day, taking this entire corner of your shop to do this. Yeah, check us out, yellowautosports.com. We're located in Maplewood, Minnesota. This is what we do. We also do window tinting, remote starters, paint protection film, and vinyl wrapping. So if you haven't heard of us, check us out. We got a YouTube, Instagram, and we're on Facebook, so make sure to follow us.